All right.
This is fantastic. We get to hear all these stories.
It is. It is, and we'll have more. But we're going to hear some other things interspersed between. And so our next presenter has come a long way to be with us, and we deeply appreciate him coming all the way from New Zealand to be with us and share some of the wisdom that has not only made him such a really fabulous human being, but allowed him to have great success in life force. How do you afford to travel back and forth between New Zealand and America and come to Estes Park and convention and so on? You create a successful life force business. And Manfred Raunigg has certainly done that. He's so much more. And he's a great, great mentor. He's open to all of us. And his wisdom from the heart is some of the most valuable stuff that I've ever gotten at Estes Park. And so it's my great pleasure and honor to bring up Manfred Raunigg.
For the ones who know me, you know I'm going to talk about love. I set out in this business because I wanted to talk about love, and I needed money. And it's not often that love and money come together in one beautiful package with nothing in between the two. So what I'm passionate about, I call the inner game. Now, it's not like the books, the inner game of tennis and the inner game of whatever. There's lots of those inner games that are rather scientific. Mine is my passion for taking people where that love is. Right? And just briefly, has anybody here not been taught not been taught to love your neighbor as you love yourself? Everybody heard love your neighbor as you love yourself?
Yep.
Have the same people taught you how to love yourself?
No.
Didn't happen for me either. I haven't met anybody who wasn't taught love your neighbor as you love yourself, and I haven't met anybody who's been taught by the same people how to do that. So I learned that by putting myself in the forest for 2 years by myself and going through all the things that I had rejected on the outer life and blamed other people for, and realized they were still there when I was by myself. So it had to be me that didn't love myself. Right? And so when it comes to looking after this body and after our worldly existence, which is the financial side, it's all to do with, do I love myself, do I respect myself, do I trust myself, and do I deserve this good life? Do I deserve the money? Do I deserve the health? Because if I don't love myself, there's a good chance that I feel not good enough, therefore I feel not worthy, and therefore I'm quite okay with not being too bad. Right? Too bad, sadly, is most people's comfort zone. Rather than wanting that extraordinary life that we in this beautiful industry of network marketing promise people. Right? We say we can take an ordinary person to an extraordinary life. And what's involved from the ordinary to the extraordinary? One word, what is it? No, change. People do not want to change, they just want the money. They would want to rather win $1 million in the lotto, even though we know that doesn't make them healthy or happy for most people in the long run. So, one thing we ask when somebody starts the business is, what do you want? We work on their goals. It's so sad to me that so many people have already given up on their goals. We can't remember what we thought when we were 4 years old and we had an expectation of our life. When we grow up, life will be like this. And between 4 years old and now, wherever people are at when they join us, they have given up on that dream because of all the circumstances that happen in life. So one thing is to find that place again. And the only place where we can find that, because the mind is full of other things. Since you were 4 years old, the mind's been filled with stuff that in my case, most of it I don't need. What I learned in school, what people told me I can and can't do, has nothing to do with how good my life is now. I had to empty that out in my own way, and I did it extremely. Nobody has to do it that extreme. But I had to look at who am I in all this, and what am I passionate about? And so it's not what we want, but it's about what will that actually give us? Right? What will it give me when I have that? Because I might want a certain car or a certain thing, a material thing, and when I have it, I realize it's not what I really wanted. It didn't make any difference. Yes, you can buy a new car every year hoping that the next one will make you happy, you know? Or some people do that with relationships, right? But the only thing that's consistently there with me in everything I've done is me. And that's that inner game. And when I make the change on the inner game, it's a true change. When I change my outside circumstances and possessions, nothing much really changes. And you know, most of you are old enough to have had a few relationships. And the one consistent problem that was there in those relationships was probably not in the other. Right? So we need to learn and teach people how to actually get back to who am I in all this. We haven't just got one brain, and it's not about getting from the head to the heart, which is the new age teaching of the last 30 years, get to the heart and get out of your head and there's no problem here. Well, there's actually 3 brains that we have. And I always like the third one, which is the gut, because I say this is the compost heap that I grow my cells out of every day. The fertility in here and how healthy my compost heap is how healthy my soil is and how healthy my food is. Well, the same happens inside the body. Everything that happens in the earth happens inside my body. So the gut is the most important thing to look after. And I always see that as my center. From here I build myself. The heartbeat makes that whole thing come to life, and there's all the love that comes in, and the head thinks it's the control center. And that's okay, that's its job, right? But so bringing life back to those 3 brains, you know, the trinity of me, myself, and I. Right? Me, myself, and I. If we want to, we can do it anyway. So when we get down to here, life feels very different from what we think about. And so I want to do a little exercise because we've got limited time. I could talk for a week on this, how to make life happen from here. And when we put body balance down there, it goes in every cell of the body. And the next heartbeat brings it through to every cell in the body. Right? And if I have body balance, loving it, and knowing that I deserve it, and therefore I love myself, so I don't just have the body balance quick swig out of the bottle, I actually take it in the nicest glass in the house, in the nicest place in the home, and I actually take time to drink it, and I go, this is my special treat, this is liquid love in the bottle, and I deserve that love. Well, then all those nutrients aren't just nutrients for the body. It feeds all 3 brains, right? And it can do so much more. You get so much more bang for your buck if you include all 3 things. I know what's in it, I know that it's good. I feel that I deserve it, and I'm feeding my compost heap this life force so that my soil is alive and produces healthy cells. Right? This is the gardener speaking, right? So, however your consciousness can add to the drink, it's the consciousness that makes the biggest difference. Because it's also on the healing journey in wellness, 80%, if you stick to the 80-20 rule, 80% of people's problem is in the mind, not in the body. The body fixes itself easily. It just needs the minerals, it needs the tools. But the mind is in the way. The mind will hang on to yesterday. The mind is the rear vision mirror, right? It can only look in the past. It's down further where we can go into the future in an instant, like I did last night at the skit, right? At the speed of light. Consciousness travels much faster than the speed of light. Consciousness is the speed of now. There's no time, right? And so we can heal at that speed if we believe it. And all our business is built on belief and trust, right? Do these other people trust me? Well, why should they if I don't trust myself? The whole thing about confidence and building this business from this place of it doesn't matter what the other person says. I know what I'm doing. I'm offering this from this totality, right? I know how deep it can go. So when the other person is at all open to that, they don't just get information about ingredients, they get this warm wave of, how could anybody say no to that if they're all open? But they have to trust me. And in order for people to trust me, I have to trust myself. That's the only difference between success and not so much success. It's not so much the confidence, but it's the inner game. So we do a short exercise that hopefully will help you, and some of you have done it before. And you can't do it often enough. You could do it every week and get to a different place inside, because it's about going in the body and having a look. How do I actually feel in that place, right? So we're starting out with knowing. Does anybody not know what you want? Like just one thing you think you want is good enough, right? We're starting out, this is what I want. And then we look at, okay, now I'm putting myself in that place of having it. Right? So I want the car, I'm sitting in it. In that moment, I smell the leather, I feel the steering wheel, I've got my foot on the accelerator, I'm ready to go. What will that feeling give me? Right? And then I get to a different place. It's no longer I want that car, it's I now have it. How does it make me feel? How does it change my life? What does it really do for me? Right? And then we look at, okay, and when I'm there in that feeling, what does that give me? And we're going to go a few layers down, and we're going to group in pairs. And to not use the timekeeper, I'll take my cell phone and time it myself. So getting together in pairs, A, B. A says, what do you want? B says, what do you want? A says, what will that give you? And that's all B ever says. No conversation, no suggestions. Give A as much time as they need to come up with the next thing. And then, in a good timing rhythm, say, what will that give you? And then the person looks in further. So I'm now there, what will that give me? And then you say that, and the other person says again, and what will that give you? And we go 2 minutes, maybe we make it 3 minutes, because this group is already quite deep, so we can go a bit deeper. Yes?
Could you say the steps again, please?
Sure.
What do you want? And what will that give you? Is the only thing that, say, B says to A, and then of course we swap over. And we do 3 minutes of that. What will that give you? What will that give you? What will that give you? And see how you can get closer to what you really want. Because what you really want is usually not what you first think of. It's what will that give you, and how will your life transform when you have that success that you know you want. Is that clear? Clear enough?
Is it 3 minutes each, or is it a
3 minutes
minute and a half
each.
switch?
We go 3 minutes each. Gives you good time, so take your time, feel into it, because you're creating your new life. You're creating what you really want, and you're feeling what that will actually mean to your life. Okay?